While fun to drive, the Fox Body Mustang chassis can feel like a wet noodle driving down the road, especially by today's standards. Need proof? This is just leaning back and forth on the front seat. That's alarming. It's so bad the floor pan eventually cracks from flexing. This 1986 Saleen Mustang only has 70,000 miles on it, and the floor pan is already cracked. The solution is subframe connectors that support the rear seat mount like these from Kenny Brown Performance. They make the car feel dramatically stiffer because they tie the seat securely to the rest of the chassis and prevent the floor pan from cracking further. Proper subframe connectors are designed to be welded to the chassis, which is fine for a run-of-the-mill Fox Mustang. But these days, originality is important on rare Foxes like this 86 Saleen. We didn't want to make an irreversible change like permanently welding something to the floor. So, to support this Saleen's floor pan without any permanent modifications, we found a way to bolt them on. Here's how we did it. First, we welded up the crack in the floor pan that already developed. Then we got to work making these Kenny Brown subframe connectors a bolt-on that preserves our 1986 Saleen Mustang's originality. First, we positioned the subframe connectors and saw they overlapped existing holes in the chassis. We marked a location of these holes at the rear and at the front. Next, we drew up some flag nuts that we could insert into the subframes. These are designed so they're captured and don't spin inside the subframe since they're in a blind cavity. They're made from 1/8 inch thick strap that's 3/4 of an inch wide. The front one is a simple 4-inch long strap with a 3/8 inch nut welded in the middle. The rear is a little more complicated. It's 4¼ inches long with a nut that's welded 1 inch from either end. Pause the video or take screenshots to make your own. We clamped each strap to the subframe connectors and drilled pilot holes so they'd match up perfectly later. We enlarged the holes to 3/8 inch all the way around. And then we used a step drill to open up the bottom to 9/16 so it cleared the 3/8 inch button head cap screw. We bolted everything together and welded the nuts to the straps. Again, this was so everything lined up perfectly later on. We painted the flag nuts to resist corrosion and slipped the front flag nuts inside the front subframe. We used some mechanics wire to easily pull them back into position. In the rear, we fished some wire from the lower control arm bolt access hole to a hole in the torque box and fished the rear flag nut into position. Then we loosely installed all the fasteners before tightening everything down. Even when bolted on, the Kenny Brown subframe connectors dramatically reduced floor pan flex to prevent this valuable Saleen Mustang from further damage and made the chassis feel a lot stiffer, without making any permanent modifications. I love it when a plan comes together.